my name is Beck and welcome to another Beck's Recs video. Today I'm going to be recommending a couple of audiobooks that I think you'd really love. And just in case I don't say the name of the narrator of these books, I will put them either in the video in text or I'll put them in the description so that you know exactly which one I mean. The first recommendation I have is The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey, and this is actually an apocalypse book which the bright yellow cover doesn't really convey. The premise for this one is that our main character Melanie, who's an 11-year-old girl, gets up out of her bed in the morning, goes over to her wheelchair and straps herself in, and then straight after that soldiers come into her room, strap her head in and wheel her to class. This is such a unique apocalypse story and it's got a scientific explanation behind the zombie outbreak, which I thought was awesome. I think the narrator's name is Finty Williams and she was so compelling that when I wasn't actually listening to this audiobook I was thinking in a British accent. There is a sequel to The Girl with All the Gifts too, and that is The Boy on the Bridge, and I did really enjoy that as well. Even though I like this one more, that one was a very close second. The next one is The Name of the Wind, and this audiobook was absolutely magical. It had music preceding the chapters. The narrator of this book put on so many different voices that you couldn't even tell it was just one narrator. He could bring absolutely anyone to life and they all sounded incredibly different to me. If the hype surrounding this book intimidates you, as well as its size, I would definitely recommend listening to the audiobook because it's so easy to digest, and I was looking forward to my commutes to and from work so that I could listen to this book. So if that doesn't tell you how good it is, I don't know what will. So this next one I don't have a physical copy on me, but it's actually a really hyped young adult release, and it's Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So many people have read this young adult heist story, and I actually only read it in 2018. I was kind of staying away from it because it was hyped up so much and I didn't want to get my expectations too high, but I found the audiobook, because it has 6 different narrators in it, really conveyed the character and the stakes, and it was really awesome. Because there were 6 narrators, I found that their voices really shaped the scope of the story, and even though I was listening to it and it's a fantasy book, it was really easy to pay attention to. The fact that there are multiple narrators in Six of Crows as well as its sequel Crooked Kingdom make it really digestible and palatable for new listeners, so I would definitely recommend them as starting points for audiobooks. Now, one of the first audiobooks that I ever listened to was Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. This is an adult sci-fi, but again on the multiple narrators, this has many, and it's kind of a cinematic experience listening to it because this is told in interviews and video files. So this story follows Rose Franklin, and when she's a child going for a bike ride in a forest near her house, she falls into this giant hole and she lands in this giant hand that's in this hole, and it turns out to be a robotic hand. So we flash forward to when she's older and she's now the leading scientist investigating these body parts because they've started to show up all around the globe. The next book is one that I can't seem to shut up about, and that is Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. The narrator in this audiobook perfectly fitted the character of Falkio that I saw in my head. This also has Three Musketeers vibes and a lot of banter. These characters are all outstanding and will make you laugh aloud, and with this Greatcoats quartet, Sebastian de Castell quickly became one of my new favourite authors. The next recommendation I have is for an adult sci-fi series, so even though I haven't read book 1 in this series, I would recommend listening to books 2 and 3, and that is the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. I've seen reviews here and there that have said this book is quite boring, but I actually found Record of a Spaceborne Few to be one of my favourites that Becky has written. The audiobook for Record of a Spaceborne Few kind of keeps you intrigued in the characters at the start, and as their story unfolds, the plot happens kind of at the end. So when I was listening to it, I really found that I couldn't stop because I wanted to know who these characters were, who they'd become, and how the plot would end. Becky Chambers crafts characters that feel real and authentic, and that comes through in every book that she's written. And finally, I'm going to recommend that you listen to Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I listened to this in December 2017 and then immediately got the rest of the series to listen to in January 2018, and I became absolutely obsessed. This narrator is absolutely incredible at nuanced voices, and he changes accents depending on which character he's narrating. Red Rising is a young adult sci-fi book that follows Darrow, our main character, who is a red, and he lives in a world that's ruled by golds. This has really big Hunger Games vibes, but it's got a more brutal undertone than Hunger Games did, which is really saying something. And there you have it. These are some audiobooks I loved and would love to recommend to you. Let me know if there's an audiobook that you've loved because I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!